So UFC 304 is going down this Saturday, and I'm going to be giving you my predictions and breakdowns. I'm currently 8 out of 10, so we're rocking a pretty solid 80% prediction percentage. Quite happy with that. Not too bad. So we're going to go through UFC 304, and I'm going to give you all my predictions. So the first fight on the card is Mick Parkin versus Lucas Brevsky. I really, really like what I see out of Mick Parkin. He's got great boxing, fundamental. He looked really good against Muhammad Usman. You know, landing the jab, landing the straight right. Not loads of power, but he just has a very technical understanding of striking. And at the heavyweight division, that is few and far between. There are not many heavyweights with good striking, good wrestling, that can put it all together. I mean, even just technical strikers. I mean, at heavyweight, because you can get that knockout straight away, most guys don't need to rely on being super technical or being super skilled. But having Mick Parkin with all those skills, I'm going to go with Mick Parkin in this fight, and I'm going to go by a third round TKO or a decision. I think because he doesn't have that power, I don't necessarily see him getting a finish, but if he can overwhelm Lucas, I could definitely see him getting a TKO in the third or second round. So the next fight on the card is Kiefer Crosby versus Sam Patterson. Now, a lot of people are picking Sam Patterson in this fight because Kiefer Crosby in his last fight went up against Kevin Jousset and got rear naked choked very, very, very easily. This is not a confident pick for me. I think Kiefer Crosby definitely has that deficiency in the grappling, but he's quite good at coming in, throwing punches, combinations, and catching you on that second or third punch. That's what I'm liking about Kiefer Crosby. Now, Sam Patterson is one of these typical taller opponents, uses his range, backs up, head on a straight line, and when he fought at 155, he got chinned first round, and it looked easy. And I look back at his career, and he does have a couple of losses by first round TKO. Now, it's a fight. Anything could happen. If Sam Patterson comes out and wrestles, I could definitely see him getting the win over Kiefer Crosby, but I'm going to go with the underdog. I think Kiefer Crosby is going to be able to close the distance in the first round. I think Patterson is going to try and strike with him initially, and I think Kiefer Crosby is going to catch him. So I'm going with Kiefer Crosby by round 1 TKO. This is my underdog pick of the card. I do actually pick a few underdogs on this card. I'm really worried. I've actually shaken in my boots that I'm gonna destroy my percentage and get all the fights wrong on this card, but I have to go with my gut, and my gut is saying that Kiefer Crosby's actually gonna get the upset and chin Sam Patterson in this fight. Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape. Mokaev is quite a big favourite in this fight. Mokaev has been increasing as a favourite as the time's gone on. And I get it, but I also don't, right? Because Manel Kape is more experienced, he's 7 years older, he's fought better competition, and he's looked good. You know, his counter knees, his flying knees, his counter striking is good, and he's a good wrestler. He's not great, but Mokaev, yeah, okay, he's a Dagestani, but he trains in England. Don't get me wrong, love British MMA, but it's not where it is in America. The training camps just aren't there. The nutrition, the strength training, we're about 5 or 10 years behind America, as much as it pains me to say that. Mokaev definitely has a lot of potential, but I think in 3 or 4 years. You know, Mokaev has time to develop and grow, and he's got a great style, he's got brilliant wrestling, but what he's missing is that experience. The striking of Mokaev just looks quite sloppy, and Manel Kape is one of those guys that can pepper you at a distance and not overextend. So I see Manel Kape in this fight having the striking advantage. I think he definitely gets taken down by Mokaev, but I think he will be able to get back up to the feet and outstrike Muhammad Mokaev and win a decision. Preston Parsons versus Oban Elliott. This is a tough one. I've really gone back and forth on this fight. I think Oban Elliott has a slight edge in the striking, but I think Preston Parsons is going to come in with the wrestling advantage. And actually underrated striking. He did get beaten by Daniel Rodrigues, and didn't look great. But in all of his other fights, you know, beating Evan Elder and the other few fights that I watched of him, he is quite good. He's a little bit slow on the feet, but he's good at closing the distance. He throws in combination, and he's got good wrestling. And I think Oban Elliott, also very well-rounded, nice 1-2, but he does get hit and hurt a lot in his fights. And I think if Preston Parsons can land some hands on him, mix in the takedowns, I think I see Preston Parsons getting a decision win here. So my final pick is going to be Preston Parsons by decision. I think he outstrikes Oban Elliott and mixes in the takedowns and just wins a solid decision over him. Next on the card is Jake Hadley versus Caolan Loughran. Now, this is a hard fight to call. Caolan Loughran, he's good, but he's very hittable, but he's got very nice takedowns. He's a bit sort of like very tight, stiff, high guard, and a bit slow. Whereas Jake Hadley rips the body nicely. Jake Hadley's biggest issue is that he likes to lay down and just accept bottom position. Now that's what worries me about my pick in this fight. I am going to go with Jake Hadley. He is coming off 2 losses, but he's fought good competition. And before those 2 losses, he was looking good. And he trains at Fearless MMA, which is a really, really good camp. Same camp as Leon Edwards in the UK. They're known for having really, really good jiu-jitsu, really good striking. So for me, I think I could definitely be wrong about this one. I think we could see Loughran come out and out-wrestle Jake Hadley and win a decision. I think we see Loughran exchanging too much with Jake Hadley, and I think he's gonna get outpointed and hit on the feet, and I could actually see him get TKO'd by Jake Hadley. Because Jake Hadley, he fought Charles Johnson, who we know is legit after that KO over Joshua Van, which I actually predicted that Johnson was going to get the win in that fight. I think he's fought tougher competition, and he's a bit more battle-tested and experienced in the UFC. So I think Loughran being the shorter fighter, we usually see Jake Hadley a little bit out of range, but I think in this fight, Jake Hadley's going to have the advantage on the striking, and we could possibly see him pick up a submission over Loughran, because Loughran, although he's good, he's quite inexperienced and quite hittable. So I could see Jake Hadley piecing him up on the feet, Loughran shooting a bad takedown, and then getting submitted by Jake Hadley. So I'm going to go with Jake Hadley by a second round submission in this. Molly McCann versus Bruna, Brasil. I think this fight doesn't need too much of a breakdown. Molly McCann is a good boxer. For the female division, she's a bloody good boxer. So I see her coming in, landing hands, getting the TKO, round 1, round 2. I definitely see her getting the finish in this fight. So I'm going to go by Molly McCann with a second round TKO. So the headliner of the prelims is Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. My favourite fighter in the UFC right now is Nathaniel Wood. He's a smaller featherweight. He doesn't cut too much weight. He basically fights at his natural weight. And he's such a technical striker. He's got really nice takedowns, really nice jiu-jitsu. I really see Nathaniel Wood having his way in this fight. The only thing that I'm worried about Nathaniel Wood going forward in his career is that he just doesn't have a great chin. He seems to get hit, dropped in almost every fight. Unless we see a fluke knockout by Daniel Pineda, I have to go with my boy Nathaniel Wood. And I'm going to go with I have to go with my boy Nathaniel Wood. And so my pick for this fight is Nathaniel Wood by third round TKO. I think he outstrikes Pineda. I think he gets takedowns if he wants to. And I think he TKOs him on the feet. Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Now, I really do like Allen in this fight. The only thing that worries me is Allen has a tendency to back up and try and circle the cage. And when you do that, you're allowing your opponent to move forward and land kicks. Now, Giga Chikadze is known for landing those kicks. He's got a very, very dangerous body kick and a very dangerous head kick. Giga Chikadze and Arnold Allen are southpaws. And what I like about that for Arnold Allen is that that body kick and head kick on the open side is not going to be there. But what worries me is Arnold Allen backing up, circling, trying to come in with 1-2s, and ultimately getting outpointed or potentially finished. Now, Arnold Allen has a granite chin. He's very technical. He's got good wrestling, good submissions, good striking, very well-rounded. I think Arnold Allen should, with the right game plan, be able to pressure Arnold Allen, with the right game plan, should be able to pressure Giga Chikadze, put him against the fence, land his boxing combinations, mix in takedowns, and win a decision over Giga Chikadze. Now, if he tries to fight in the way that he normally fights, by backing up, throwing counters, and moving around the cage, I think he's going to make it a much more difficult fight for himself. He is coming off 2 losses, but I'm going to go with Arnold Allen by decision in this fight. So next on the card is Bobby Green versus Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Now, Paddy Pimblett is not great. I think it's a matter of time before Paddy Pimblett runs into someone who makes him look as bad as he actually is. Now, is Bobby Green that person? I think yes. I think Bobby Green, with the wrestling, should be able to stuff the takedowns, and Bobby Green is a far better striker than Paddy Pimblett. The one thing Paddy Pimblett has as a big advantage in this fight is his chin. And Paddy Pimblett, if he gets hit, if he gets rocked, he has showed an ability in the Vendramini fight to push forward, throw combos recklessly, and go for that finish. And with Bobby Green being 37, we could possibly see him get caught by a wild shot from Paddy, dropped, Paddy gets on top and finishes him by submission. I'm actually going to go with Bobby Green by a second round TKO in this fight. I think he has his way with Paddy Pimblett on the feet, lands his counters. Bobby Green is just the cleaner, more technical boxer. The only thing that worries me is that head movement. So I wouldn't be super surprised if Paddy Pimblett is able to get the takedown, submit Bobby Green, or maybe land a wild shot on the feet and get the finish. But I'm going to have to go with Bobby Green being the more experienced, better striker on the feet. And I'm going to go by a second round TKO. Now, Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes seems to be plagued by not being able to break into that top 3 of the UFC. He almost just seems to fall short against Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou. He doesn't seem to be able to put it all together to be that top level fighter. Now, we know that Tom Aspinall has fast hands, good wrestling, good submissions. He is sometimes a little bit hittable, but we haven't seen the finishing ability of Curtis Blaydes on the feet. So I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall, and I'm going to go by a second round TKO. I think... So in this fight, I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall by a first round TKO. I think the speed, the power, the technical boxing of Tom Aspinall is just going to be way too much for Curtis Blaydes. And I think this is going to be a huge win for British MMA. And I think this sort of cements Tom Aspinall as the heavyweight champion, because he's not... John Jones is not going to fight Tom Aspinall. Let's face it. It's not going to happen. Tom Aspinall is the lineal... Tom Aspinall, in everybody's eyes, other than Dana White's, is the true heavyweight champion. If Tom Aspinall wins this fight and John Jones goes to fight Stipe, there is not a chance that Tom Aspinall fights John Jones. It's not going to happen. John Jones is too worried that Tom Aspinall is going to beat him and ruin John Jones' legacy. There's a reason why John Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall. Because Tom Aspinall is dangerous. He's a great fighter. So I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall, first round TKO over Curtis Blaydes, and I think it's going to be an awesome win for him. We have the main event, Leon Rocky Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. Now, Belal Muhammad is a fighter that doesn't excel anywhere. Recently, he's been training with Kape, so you have to guess that the wrestling style from Belal is going to be much more imposing than it has previously. He's shown the ability to take down strikers like Stephen Thompson, but he just doesn't excel anywhere. I think the clean counter-striking of Leon Edwards, just that fundamental style with the takedown defense, the ability to get back up, to get off the cage, should be too much for Belal Muhammad. I mean, the double attack of that straight left and that left high kick just seems to be a problem that Belal Muhammad isn't going to be able to solve. You know, Leon Edwards, he's shown that he's one of the best fighters in the UFC. Yeah, okay, he's a little bit boring, but what does he know how to do? He knows how to win. These are two fighters coming in who might not be the most exciting fighters, but they both know how to get the win. Now, when this fight was first announced, I had this feeling in my gut that Belal Muhammad was going to win the most boring decision known to man. And I have changed my mind. I think Leon Edwards knows the game plan to beat Belal Muhammad. He needs to push forward, use the jab, mix in the straight left with the left high kick, and just pepper Belal, being the cleaner counter striker, defend the takedowns. And I'm going to go with Leon Edwards by decision here. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Belal, because I think we might see a bit more of a successful wrestling approach out of Belal in this fight. I honestly see Belal the whole fight on his knees, pushing Leon Edwards back against the cage. I just think Leon Edwards is going to be able to catch him coming in. He's so good at managing that distance and catching you coming in and catching you at the end of the combos. I just don't see a way for Belal to close that distance safely. So I think Leon Edwards, I could see him getting a late TKO, maybe 3rd or 4th round. I'd love it if Leon comes out just as aggressive, pushes Belal back and gets a really nice TKO over him. That'd be such a big win in England. But yeah, those are my picks for UFC 304. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do all this for free, but if you guys help me out, it means I have more time to make content, and it just encourages me to keep putting out stuff for you guys. So yeah, let me know if you disagree with any of my picks, and have a good weekend, and I hope you enjoy the fights.